continues that these two other administrators, they got jealous. They were like, King Darius is starting to like that other guy more than us. And so, do you know what these two other guys did? They were like, well, you know what? We're gonna try to get some dirt on him. We're gonna try to get some dirt on him. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And so we see that in the story. These two other administrators tried to basically get him in trouble, saying pretty much, "You're too godly. You're doing too much. You're devoting your time to doing all these things that matter, and it just creeps us out, and we don't like it because we're just doing. We're just not doing as well as you are." Until they tried to get him in trouble. But it says in the Bible that they could not find any charges against him. They couldn't find any charges against him. Because why? Because Daniel devoted himself to not only these 120 other people, not only to his job, but to God. And so he's juggling three things at once. And so we see that he devoted his time and his effort and his talents into these people, into the things that he was doing. And I want to tell you guys right now, if you love God with all your heart, you can devote your time into things that truly matter. I mean, 3 people with 120 or so men, teaching them how to fight, probably teaching them how to read, teaching them how to be warriors, oversee these people. But not only overseeing these people, but devoting himself to God 3 times a day in prayer. But not only 3 times a day in prayer, but devoting himself to his work, showing him that he is truly a leader. So he devoted himself. And so we see that these 2 other guys, they started to get more jealous day after day because he devoted himself. And so they go to the king. They go to the king after much pacing back and forth. They say, all right, I know what we're going to do. He's like, oh yeah? Tell me. Like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to King Darius. I'm going to tell him to issue a decree. The guy was like, what kind of decree? He says, a decree that says that no one can serve King Darius for 30 days. Man, that should trip him up pretty bad, don't you think? And so, these 2 guys tried to get in the middle of Daniel's devotion. But not only devotion to himself, but devotion to God. Saying that this is my devotion to you. This is my promise to you. That I will always pray to you. No matter what comes my way, no matter what is in my way, no matter what comes my way, I will always pray to you. He made that promise to himself. And so we see that these guys, they go to King Darius, and they say, hey, here's this decree. What do you think? King Darius was like, yeah, okay. And so he signed off on it, knowing that this would trip Daniel up, or so they thought. They thought that if they could issue this decree, it would get in the middle of his devotion. Not only his devotion to these men, not only to his job, but to God. And they thought, we just got in the middle of his devotion. Now there's nothing he can do. But instead of letting these guys get in the middle of his devotion, what he did, he continued to pray. Why? Because it was a promise that he held in his heart very, very close to his soul. Saying, what? Doesn't matter what I face. Doesn't matter how I feel. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Doesn't matter if it's Monday and it's raining outside and it's pouring and there's lightning, or if it's Sunday and it's just the worst day ever. My boss got mad at me today. There was a guy that was helping build the pyramids and he fell and he broke his leg, and so we're down a guy. And just all this stuff. I ran to the McDonald's that they had, and I thought they were serving all day breakfast, but they were only serving lunch. And my camel needed water, so I had to go to the nearest well, and it was just not a good day. But he doesn't say on the good days I'm going to pray, but he devoted himself to praying every single day. Every single day. But what I love about this story and about this devotion is that he knew that he could be killed for this. Not just okay, I'm gonna pray, and there's not much they can do about it. But he knew that he could be put to death for what he believed, for his devotion. And so we see that in this story. The story continues, and one day Daniel goes back up to pray, like he does all the time. And we see that these two guys, they follow him. They're like in the bushes. They're hiding. And he goes up to his house. It says where the windows faced Jerusalem. He got down on his knees and he began to pray. And it says in the Bible that these two other guys, they kick the door down. And they say, "Yo, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "What are you doing over there? You're praying." And then you didn't try to hide the fact. Now, what I find interesting is that if someone did that to us or to me, if I'd be in my room or anywhere praying, and two dudes kick down my door and they're like, "Hey, I know what you're doing. You're praying over there." I'd be like, "No, I'm not. I'm just dusting, dusting the floor. This floor is very filthy, so I'm just dusting it off, making sure that there's no cobwebs or anything, And that's probably what I would do. But he did not deny the fact that he was praying. Why? Because that's how strong his devotion was. He said, "You know what? No matter if I live or I die, I'm going to be devoted to the things of God." I don't know how many people today I'm talking to, but if Daniel, an 80-year-old man who probably won't live much longer, who's about 80 in the story, devoted himself to these people, to his job, and to God. How many of us today can say that we can do that too? No matter where we are in our life, no matter what circumstance we are in, we can always devote a part of our life to striving. How many of us can say that we do that? And so we see that this guy did not deny the fact that he was in prayer. So these guys said, "All right, let's go to King Darius, because you broke the law." So they take him to King Darius. The story continues that they took him before King Darius, and King Darius was like, "Daniel, you're my favorite guy. Why would you do this?" And Daniel was like, "Because I devoted my life to God. I will keep on praying to him. I cannot follow your decree because it goes against everything that I stand for." And so King Darius, so upset, so just worried and anxious and mad and sad and all these different emotions, is like, "Throw him in the lion's den." Now, we know how the rest of the story ends, but I'm going to tell it anyway. That he got thrown into the lion's den. And then let me tell you, have you guys ever been to a zoo? I bet there's a zoo where you guys live, or you see stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You see these pictures of tigers and lions and bears and all this stuff. Or you watch the Nature Channel. You know that these lions, they're probably hungry, probably been on there for many days, probably Haven't had much to eat since the last human that was down there. That was like 5 days ago. These guys, they're probably hungry, probably tired, probably roaring, probably scratching at the stone or whatever they had down there. And they're probably like, oh my gosh, here comes another person. We're starving. Whew. All right, guys, lunchtime. But we see that because of his devotion, God shut the lions' mouths. Or, in other words, the lions didn't eat him. The lions weren't like, all right, lunchtime. They were like, we'll let him live. And we see that in the story, King Darius knew that he made a mistake. And it sees that he just totally locked himself in his room all night. And when daybreak, when the sun came up, he jumped out of bed and he ran to the lion's den. And he told them, roll the stone away. And he said, Daniel, if the God that you serve, has the God that you serve saved you? And Daniel replies, long live the king. Long live the king. Or something along those lines. But what I love about this is that he was so devoted to God and so devoted to this king that no matter what stood in his way, he was still able to give a response worthy of praise. Worthy of praise. So I want to ask you guys this question today. As we start to wrap up and as these things are going through your head, what things are you devoting your life to? Are you devoting your life to making a better living for yourself? Making a better living for your family? Are you devoting your time and effort into your friends? Getting to know them even more? Not just hanging out, going to parties, getting drunk, but actually getting to know them. Just having fun. Are you devoting yourself to God, being in His Word, praying to Him, doing something worth your time, worth God's time? Because if this guy today, who is in his 80s, can do all these things, have all these challenges, can still devote himself to God, I want you guys to ask yourself, why can't you? Why can't you? And so today, maybe some of you are thinking, how do I become devoted? How do I become the center point of godliness? Simply do what God calls you to do. We don't know what that is for you. It might be learning another language. It could be reading God's Word. Devote yourself to something that you are passionate in. For Daniel, it was prayer. He was passionate in prayer. For me, it's my devotions. It's my God talk. Find something you're passionate about and be devoted to it. So it might be becoming better at a sport. Great. Do that. But give God the glory when you win. Give God the glory even when you don't win. It might be becoming the best spokesperson on the entire internet or the entire TV networks. Great. Keep going at that. Give God the glory. Whatever you do in your life, give God the glory. Because in Him, we are stronger than without Him. And so we see that we know how the story ended. Because he was devoted. He was totally devoted to God. We can become devoted too when we put our passion, our drive, our everything into God. Because when we are devoted, totally devoted to Him, there's nothing that can stand in our way. Even when people put up road signs saying, stop, don't go there, don't do it. There are always going to be people who put up roadblocks. But since we are totally devoted, those roadblocks don't mean a thing. when we have God right next to us saying, keep going.